What's up, bikers? I'm Jonny Thompson from Fit for Racing, and today I'm going to go through the only pedal power test you're going to need. The test I'm going to complete today is the 4DP, the 4-dimensional power test by Wahoo on the System app. This is the same test that I put through the YT mob teams, the downhill guys and the enduro guys, to see basically 4 different dimensions of their pedal power, so we can identify strengths and weaknesses in specifically that pedal power that might affect their racing. But for you and I, our regular MTB riders, then it's a good idea to do this type of test if you're going to set out and do any kind of training. Because ultimately, the FTP, that'll influence the type of training you do so that you can maximize the time and not be wasting your time going too hard or too low a power. So this will determine some ranges to basically get the best out of your training. And if nothing else, it's a good metric to try and improve, so then you're more efficient at pedaling. On the other end of the scale, the Neuromuscular Power, that's an all-out 6-second blast. We can improve that with weight training. It does really matter to mountain bikers, because if you're going to go up to a little feature, you want to add some power in, or you're coming out of a corner and you want to speed up quickly to get back up to speed, that's the type of power we need. So I've just set off on the System app the 4DP test, and here it's ramping me up on a little warm-up, and it gives you 2 opportunities to do the neuromuscular tests. So because it might be difficult to get that peak power on your bike the first time round, it gives you 1 opportunity to try it, and then another, and it'll pick the best of those 2. After that, it's a 5-minute test of your maximum aerobic power. That's a sucky one, that's really awful. Then the FTP, which is normally 95% of your 20-minute effort. Whereas on this, because you've done the other stuff first, we measure the FTP as 100% of what you managed within this test. And then finally, the 1 minute of a stepped down, because inevitably you're going to reduce the power after the first 30 seconds because you're going all out again. That's anaerobic, so your maximum anaerobics. So when you're already depleted from the rest, this is really awful, but it is only a minute, and this is quite a good reflection on some of the pedal power needed for stages of mountain biking. So this is me warming up. I'll try and talk you through as I go, so that then you get a good idea of what this type of test is about and how it might help you. So the kicker bike, they adjust the power for you depending on what you're supposed to be doing during the training. So it's important on this, because it's a test, to turn off the erg mode and put it on the level mode. That way your power is entirely determined by the gearing and the pace that you do, so you get to decide how hard. So you can adjust, maybe you're halfway through the FTP and you went out too hard, you might want to reduce your power, knock down a couple of gears so that you can actually see the end of the test. There we go, warm up over. A little time to chill before getting these peak powers. So I'm going to start putting in a harder gear with 10 seconds to go. Cranking up. I'm going to drop the big cog. 3, 2, 1. Oh. Yeah, I dropped the big cog and it was mega hard. I had to drop down a couple. That was a big leap. Probably not ideal. Way better timing. So we cool down after that, reset for 5 minutes. The first few pedals, get into a pace, get your gearing right, into about the range that you want to sustain for 5 minutes.
This goes in my eyes, it's special. Climb up to my level, wanna see the view. Can you do it like that, kiss it like that, making it last fast, bring it right back, wear it like that, move it like that, like it like, do it like that, kiss it like that, making it last fast, bring it right back, wear it like that.
Sure. This is a starting point, a benchmark to train from, which is a good gauge really. Gives you a little 30-second opportunity to have a walk. So really, if I think I've done less on that, likely to do less on the FTP, maybe I can set it on erg mode and then see if I can sustain it. I'm going to do that. So I'm actually going to let the erg determine my power. So if my RPMs go down, it won't matter, the power will be the same because the erg will put that power in. A bit of a, let's call it a hack of the system, but for me it's going to work today, hopefully. Five minutes. Tough. Halfway.
Been at it already, had my tarot read. Things are looking up for me, that's what my tarot said. Been pumping out pheromones and wearing red. Young Jerry Lolliver King, but they're not aware of it. $40 to show money, that's what they stole from me. Blow it all bowling, guess I roll
Last
funny.
5.
Go find me a snow bunny. Ask if this cold world's making her nose runny. She melted. I wear a cape that is velvet. Couldn't see it, she felt it. See it all like I'm Elvis. Move my hips like I'm Elvis. I don't picture
2 minutes.
Couldn't picture me jealous. Turning fans into zealots. Tuning in when I tell it. There were 15 people at the gig saying, oh my God, what fun this is. Did it all, did it right, did it big. Yeah, buddy, we were loving it. New cards, new deck, new life. King of Cups, he comes up right. Always, all days, all nights. Sing do-wah, do-wah, do-wah.
Oh, that was interesting. Different than last time. It held me on a steady pace. And I think for that, I managed to do more throughout the 20 minutes than I would have done controlling it myself. I was certainly on the limit a lot of the time. Halfway, I wasn't sure if I could do it. Last 5 minutes were the toughest. When you got 1 minute left, it's fine, because you know you finished soon. And no one finishes, no one stops on 19 of a 20 rep max. So cool down, one last test. Anaerobic power, which is just 1 minute. And after all of that, it's gonna suck. Right, a little walk, as it's suggesting. Flush the legs out. Ah, right, this is the one. This is the one that, when you're going for it, your mind does better than your legs, generally. As you can see on the screen, it dips down, so it is 1 minute effort, but that'll reflect the dip, the natural dip in power. Fuck. I'll do my cool down. And we'll check in on my new power profile. Save workout. Think in progress. Let's have a look. Full frontal 4DP test. So, as expected, it's suggesting that I'm a sprinter. Neuromuscular Power 1501, which is pretty decent on this bike. And this is not a criticism of the Wahoo system, but for that type of power, a light bike like this or one hooked up to your kicker, it takes a lot of practice to get the power zone right and the gearing right to get a real good reflection. So if you do it a couple of times and it's lower than you think, it might just be the setup and the practice time. Unlike other bikes, like the Watt bike, which is more designed for that absolute power measurement. It's a lot bigger, but with that comes issues getting it in your garage, etc. Then anaerobic capacity, so the one I just did, 526. MAP, map, the 5-minute one, as expected, -7, only 7 off, so I'm pretty happy with that. FTP the same, because I hacked it and put it on the erg mode. So all in all, actually, I'm quite pleased that this being my first on-bike test of the season, that the strength and gains that I've acquired, the neuromuscular power with that strength has shot up, but FTP is the same, and that MAP, that mid-range power that's very, very essential for enduro riders, downhillers as well, that is only -7, which I bet I could get that back in a couple of weeks of decent conditioning and MAP specific bike training. So that's exactly what I'm going to do now, is set up on this on a 12-week plan, doing at least 2 turbo sessions a week, or heart rate monitored fire road climbs on my bike, because nothing substitutes time on the actual bike, particularly if you could do that effort on a fire road and you get all of the joy of coming back down. And obviously the skills acquisition that go with that, the majority of people could do with more skills on the bike, so don't discount bike time to get your fitness up if your skills are lacking. That's it for this one. Like, subscribe, and I'll see you next time for more than just testing, but training as well with some of the best riders in the world. Peace.